Hello everyone. My name is Dr. Tiffany Lindell-Knight, and it is my absolute pleasure to be on this side of the interview table today. Oh my goodness me! Okay, for the thousands of people, the scholars, the students, the colleagues, friends and family who follow Tara on her various digital platforms, I think you can imagine my excitement and the sense of responsibility I carry today as I conduct this pre-wedding chat with Professor Tara Brabazon and her betrothed, Professor Jamie Quinton. Yay! How exciting is this? This is extraordinary. Oh. So if you're watching this, there's a very good chance that you have watched one or more of the 167 vlogs that Tara produces on a weekly basis for the Flinders University Office of Graduate Research YouTube channel. Now, I know for a fact that thousands of PhD students around the world have come to depend on the weekly advice, humor, insights, and inspiration Tara offers as in her role as the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University. Her vlogs have simply become an international phenomenon.
I didn't know you were going to do this.
Yes,
I'm doing this.
I'm doing this.
I'll just shut up.
Look, and I know that many of you, like myself, have come to rely not just on her weekly injection of energy and wisdom, but have also developed something of an academic crush on Tara. So to use the words from a comment from Ivy from Kenya, hello, has written, she is the best friend in my head for many of us.
You rock, Ivy. You rock.
She does. Of course, Tara also leads a spectacular international career as an academic, a writer, a journalist and speaker. So welcome to all of those of you who know her through those channels as well. Now, needless to say, the announcement made on her Facebook page by the two of these people last month was a huge and, needless to say, delightful surprise for all of us. Who is this mystery man that makes our Tara giggle like a schoolgirl?
Pick me.
When did two professors, not just professors, deans, find the time for a whirlwind romance? And how can all of us around the world participate in a live stream wedding? Inquiring minds want to know. So, it is my incredible privilege to sit here today and on behalf of the thousands of people out there planning to watch and celebrate with you, speak to the happy couple.
Well, Tiff, we adore you, and Tiff is going to be the MC for the live stream. And look, we thought, because so many people, we received, hundreds of just messages on Facebook, regardless of the hundreds of emails as well, of people that are sort of saying hi and wishing us well, and very emotional messages as well. So we thought just to do, I think we've got a week and a bit before the stream, a week and a day before the stream, so we thought we'd say hi to everybody, use Tiff's expertise, and just sort of share some of the weirdness that has occurred in the last few weeks, months. But Tiff, we adore you. You're very special to me, and you're increasingly special to Jamie. So let's do some damage, as I often say, and see what's about to happen.
Okay. Well, these two have given me carte blanche to ask them anything they want. So hold on to your hats. I guess the most pressing question is, how did you two meet?
Can I start and you finish?
Sure.
Which is a whole metaphor for a whole series of other things, but still that's fine. Look, I'll start and you finish. Look, when I arrived at Flinders University, because I was married to my beloved late husband, Professor Steve Redhead, but I'd heard of Jamie Quinton because I interviewed students. I tried to meet every single student at Flinders University, and in my office as I was meeting these students, the name Jamie Quinton came up a lot. In fact, originally, no one was helping me at all, and then Jamie read my work, or Jamie sat with me, or Jamie explained it with me. I went, oh look, that's nice. So Jamie who? And I went, Jamie Quinton. That's great. That's great. So for about 2 years, I'd be hearing this man's name being used as a great supervisor, a great researcher, and a great teacher. So that's how I met him or knew of him, sort of in great Shakespearean fashion. For the first few scenes, we hear the name, we don't meet the person. So I've started, you can finish.
Brilliant. So I also heard the name from the same set of students who would come back over to science and engineering and say, I've been over to the OGR and I've had a chat with Tara and she's helped me put my head straight, etc. And so I guess from there, what happened was just before Christmas, when we became friends on Facebook and we just started to interact with each other, and That started out slowly, and then a friendship blossomed. And then around Christmas time, we actually met and started to spend a little bit of time together. Tara got her Order of Australia medal, and she invited me to take her out to dinner on Australia Day, so we did that. And it kind of went from there.
Oh, that's really lovely.
But you didn't tell the zombie apocalypse bit of the story.
No, I didn't.
Do you want to tell the zombie apocalypse bit of the story? Because Tiff is sort of involved in this. Because Tiff will remember the first time I did a zombie apocalypse lecture for our colleagues in nursing and health science. I did that version of that lecture, and the wonderful Tiff was there.
Right.
I did another iteration of it for the science and engineering students and staff members, and Jamie was in the front row
I was.
of that.
I've been in the front row. It's quite intense.
Yes, and sort of there was a moment there. I don't know if you actually experienced that moment, but I sort of did. Where I looked at you, and you took a photograph of me too. I remember, and I remember thinking at the time, this is not actually bulldust. This is true. I remember thinking at the time, something just happened there. Something just occurred. So I sort of quite love that, because I'm obsessed by the zombie apocalypse and the idea that from a sort of zombie lecture, something happened, a movement, a click happened, and I remember thinking about it in real time. And so when things did progress...
Unfortunately, my phone is out of my reach, and I can't show you that photo. But I do remember taking the photo. I do remember the smile I got when I took the photo, and I do remember that involuntary smile that came out of my face straight after as I put the phone down.
Yeah. So it was but I mean, there's something quite poignant and also quite lovely about that too. There was sort of a lecture. It involved zombies, and there was a click or a connection at that point. So as I said, something did click, something did change. I think
Something springs forth.
Yes, it did. So
Amazing.
in a lecture theatre, so bizarre.
Wow, so this is very new, very exciting, very fresh.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, the internet is a very strange and marvellous thing, and I would say I'm not the only person who has probably been Google stalking Professor Jamie Quinton in the last few weeks. So, and I'm feeling very fortunate, because although we've talked on Messenger a few times in the last few weeks, and now the fact that when you were posting things about my PhD and there would be a little comment or a smile, that was way back when. So I feel quite excited about all that being woven into the myth of it all. But this is actually the first day that we've actually met in the analog world.
That's right.
So this is a very special day. I could rehash all the things I found out about you during my Facebook searches, but I thought instead I would just turn it over to both of you and ask both of you, who is Jamie Quinton?
And I
Yes, please.
Okay, look, I'll start. And it's a very, very easy answer for me. So Jamie Quinton is simply one of the most intelligent people on this planet. Incredibly intelligent, and a wide-ranging intelligence like I've never quite met in my life. So firstly, just a breathtaking intelligence that is, awe-inspiring, to be frank, and that's why he's such a good teacher. Also profoundly caring and compassionate. So there's a deep care and a deep compassion for all things, all people, all things, all ideas, and a remarkable naughty sense of humour. So the combination of great intelligence, a deep care, and a great sense of humour is fantastic. And just he has a gentleness on the earth, I think, which I really, really enjoy. So he walks gently on the earth, and that's a pretty good combination for me.
Thank you for that.
It's also true. So what would you say about yourself, though?
Well, I don't think I would have come up with that assessment. What do I say about that? I aspire to be those things, so thank you for recognising those things. And a lot of what you've just said I see in you as well.
Oh, sweetie. No.
Yeah. I mean, most of the people watching this will be going, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I'm very lucky.
Yeah, who am I? Well, I consider myself to be a eternal scholar, and I think most of us are. It's really about learning, not about teaching or about mentoring or any of that. They're just privileges that come as a side benefit of that. And I want to learn. That thirst for knowledge, and not just knowledge, but the advancement of knowledge is so strong. I think that's what it takes actually to be an academic, especially in the modern era. We're all like that. We all have that stubbornness, if you like, that we're going to just endure whatever it takes to just keep pushing that envelope of where is knowledge at and where does it need to go and how can I keep pushing it? How do I keep advancing?
Which makes total sense why the two of you would fall in love.
And
Yeah. So
no, you go.
Sorry. No, you've just triggered something. So,
go for it.
I was sort of thinking about that before I learned that. Well, the moment I learned we were going to do this, I thought if I had to articulate what I think happened and how this relationship started, it certainly happened. Like I'll have to say, the internet, the social media became a very useful thing. Right, because when you talk about people of our age and how they find each other, they try all kinds of bonkers things like online dating, etc. Right?
Yep.
And there's a huge amount of vulnerability that you have to embrace to be able to do that. And kudos to everyone who could even try it. That's not really me. I don't feel that I could do that. But Tara and I became friends first because there was the safety that went with communication via social media. There wasn't a lot of pressure, there wasn't a lot of expectations, and there still isn't any expectations. But coupled with that, for Tara, it wasn't a I feel sorry for her, she needs someone, there was none of that.
I bloody hope not.
No, not at all. In fact, I firmly believe that my role is to rescue myself, not to rescue Tara. And
that's amazing.
I just want to create a space that's safe so that she can rescue herself and I can rescue myself. That's entirely my attitude towards the whole thing. And Tara provides the same thing in return, and we're just the best of mates.
Best of mates.
You're a
Top
remarkable.
that.
You're a
There's a
remarkable.
recipe.
Yes.
A recipe for a happy
Thank you,
future.
sweetie. That's lovely.
I just have to say it's extraordinary that I am actually sitting here with two deans, like senior academics in a university in the top 2%. I don't know which percent, but pretty high percent now, with award-winning academic teachers, scholars, extraordinary, brilliant minds, and yet they can also have this capacity for vulnerability and honesty, which is quite awe-inspiring.
I love how strong things are. So our similarities are so strong. We have similar philosophies, and we have similar politics.
Thank the gods.
But we also have enough differences and polar opposites.
That's true.
That we have incredibly interesting and fruitful conversations about all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I can only
That's
imagine.
right. That's true.
Only
that's
imagine.
absolutely right.
Can I ask you that? So this is a probing question, but I have to.
Please.
The romantic in me can't resist. Who proposed to who and how? What was the
I'll let you answer this because I would never propose, and I would never, I don't really know how you get into that sort of situation. I've been married before, and I don't know how that happened either. so it is a bit of a mystery experience for me. So you might like to sort of remember or summon this because it's a bloody mystery to me too.
Okay, sure. So I proposed to Tara, and it was really because of the time that we spent together leading up to the Australia Day dinner. I just found that everything just clicked. Not only did all the boxes get ticked for me, but she exceeded my expectations.
Oh.
And when it's right, you just know.
Yeah.
And people say that, and they've said it for many years, and you go, yeah, sure. But the truth is, when it's right, and you know.
And you know. And also I think if you're old enough, because I know a lot of the crew that have talked to the pair of us and sent us messages, and I've shared them with some of the two sitting at the table with me, are people of our age, actually, the three of us, or a little bit older. And you know yourself incredibly well. You know what your deal breakers are, you know what's important. And also at this age, you know what doesn't matter, and you know that 99% of stuff doesn't matter at all. But the 1% matters a great deal. So I think at that point, if you're finding that you both agree that this 99% doesn't matter at all, this 1% is crucial, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So it was lovely. So it was a lovely proposal. It was a beautiful proposal. It was at Windy Point, and that's why we're getting married at Windy Point in 8 days from now.
Who's counting?
You are.
7 days, 23 hours.
Thanks.
Never mind.
Thanks, Dale. Yes, but it was lovely. But it was, and there was no doubt either. That was the other interesting thing for a lot of the people out there. There was no doubt that this was the right thing to do. Right person, right time. Not a question. Not a worry. This is the right thing to do.
How lucky to have certainty
Yes.
in an uncertain age.
Absolutely, absolutely. Trump's America has had an impact on all of us, and it means when something is not irrational and stupid, you go for it.
Don't run away.
Yeah.
Well, this is another thing. Because anyone who has done any sort of Google stalking of Jamie would know what I've discovered, which is that, like Tara, he is a big fan of popular culture, and in particular, Star Wars, which immediately made me go, he's all right in my books. Jamie, tell us, what is your Star Wars origin story?
Okay, wow. Well, I guess I grew up with, so I'm an only child, and a lot of my influences come from my father. So Star Wars in particular, I didn't see it when it came out at the cinema. I saw it when it aired on Australian television, which I think was around 1980. I loved it immediately, as every 9-year-old would. And then I do remember at the time, I know that it wasn't the first sequel ever made, because there have been plenty of sequels made over the decades before that, but around that time, that's when sequels started to be a thing. Every movie had a sequel, and every sequel was terrible. And then Empire Strikes Back came out, and the greatest Star Wars movie ever made.
The best
So
of the three.
Wrong.
Not them all.
Oh, what's going on here?
Really?
No,
Oh,
Jedi.
Jamie,
Yeah.
and it just got better and better and better.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic. I think the thing that I love about the movies, for me, that you two both personify, is to walk on the light side. You know, you can choose the dark or you light. It's a choice, and you're choosing the light, which I find very inspiring.
It is, and of course, for those of you that will be watching the live stream, we should say why this question is important. And of course, are you going to go there? You want to go?
No, you can go there.
So the wedding, of course, has a Star Wars theme, trope, paradigm beyond belief. There will be a few people in costuming. There'll be a few people in costuming, but there'll be some objects beyond your possible comprehension or envisioning to see. So there, when you talk about weird stuff, I know it'll come as a surprise to you, but there's going to be weird stuff that, it makes Donald Trump look like a rational human being, some of the weird stuff you're about to see in a week's time. So we've had a lot of fun with it, and there's a lot of fun stuff.
what did you find, by the way?
I'm not saying anything.
No, fair enough.
Yep.
Yes, so we'd love you, if you're out there and you're watching the live stream, and all our friends are, hi to Naslin, my wonderful friend in London, all my friends around the world, team, dress up, take a picture, dress up, whack on a hat, have a drink, send us a picture.
Yeah.
So we should probably say a bit more about that. So the invitation for the locals who are coming to it, the dress code is fabulous.
Fabulous.
And we should probably say something about what we mean by that.
What did I mean by that?
Well, I guess you meant fabulous.
I did. So please elaborate.
For me, I thought I interpreted it to mean whatever makes you feel fabulous. Knowing it's a Star Wars themed wedding, if feeling fabulous means wearing casual, formal, whatever makes you feel fabulous. If you want to get dressed up, please do. If you do watch the live stream, I think it would be wonderful if, and you did take photos or whatever, we would really love to share it. We'd love to share your interaction and your engagement with our wedding. So if you tag us, if you post something on something like Facebook, please tag us.
Yes, and we know there are micro parties occurring around the planet already, so
Yes,
we are quite thrilled about that.
We want you to be involved in this as much as possible, and
Yes,
I will be
absolutely.
your host and your guide. I'm very excited. I'm going to be the live stream MC, so I will be there, holding your virtual hand as we go through this day. So have some fun and join us.
Yes,
join them.
Yes.
Join them.
Yes.
Okay. Well, on that point, the Star
Yes.
Wars theme, I have to ask a very serious question. I need you to be honest with me, Jamie.
Okay.
There are 2 other Star Wars epics that I know Tara cares deeply about, and lots of people have lots of opinions. What are your feelings about Star Trek and Doctor Who?
Right. Well, of course, Star Trek is older than Star Wars, and when I was growing up, every Sunday afternoon, after coming home from whatever the family were involved in, the lounge room would have the light off. I'd be laying on the lounge room floor in my pyjamas, and I'd be watching an episode of Star Trek and an episode of The Muppets.
Oh, that's a perfect
So,
name.
of course, I grew up with the original series, and then I can't remember what I was doing when the Next Generation came out, because I missed a lot of it, but I kind of retrofit that later. But for me, the version of Star Trek that has the most meaning was in fact Voyager, because when I was doing my postdoc in the US, I found myself at synchrotrons all the time, and we were working around the clock. And we used to have a dinner break at midnight where we'd go back to the dormitory, put the big screen TV on, and we'd watch an episode of Voyager.
Fantastic.
So that's the one I've seen the most of. That's the one that I like the most.
And a very powerful female captain with an excellent hairdo.
With an excellent hairdo.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. There's only 2 ways.
Yeah. But you were also asked about the Who.
Yes,
Yes, and the Who. So the Who, Doctor Who. I do remember. Again, it's growing up in Australia in the 70s and 80s. The afternoons after school, watching ABC mainly. But I think for me, the most Doctor Who I've seen has been the 4th Doctor. So, and then of course the recent resurgence with the recent episodes. I've seen a few of those, but I haven't seen them all.
You
So
have
that-
something to look
that's
forward
an opportunity,
to.
right?
That's right.
We do.
Exactly.
Moving
We do.
forward.
Yeah. So it was reasonably good. There was one point where I thought we were in trouble, to be honest with you. And the only point I thought we were ever in trouble was when I mentioned Star Trek the first time. And he said, I need to stop the car and you need to get out. And that was funny, because I was like, how very dare you, how very dare you. But actually, so that was actually really, really good. But yeah, so there is a bit of a, because you are Star Wars dominant, can I say?
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is a wider parameter of science fiction.
I do have to acknowledge my 2 cousins, Melissa and Paul.
Okay.
Hi guys. Who they're probably asking who is Tara Brabazon actually.
Exactly. So
Really?
I'm not.
But,
Yes.
but they were 2 of the founding members of the first worldwide Star Wars fan club, which happened to be the Australian one.
It was.
They are bigger Star Wars fans than I am.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you want to stalk further,
I
Yes.
shall. And will they be at the wedding?
by virtual presence, I hope, yes.
Hello, I hope we see you there.
And we want a picture.
So, okay, so winding up here.
Yes,
I guess,
yes.
Tara, just as we're celebrating with you today,
Yes, yes, yes.
it wasn't long ago that we were all
Yes.
grieving with you
Yes,
about
yes,
the death
yes.
of your
Of Steve.
beloved,
Yeah.
Steve Redhead. And I guess I'm not the only person I'm not speaking only for myself when I say when we
Yes.
saw that announcement that the 2 of you made, I was filled with what you end your vlogs with every day. with
Yes.
Love, light, and peace.
Yes.
It just
yes.
broke my heart open with joy for both of you. Can you talk a little bit about the last couple of years and also the responses that you've had to your
Yes.
wonderful announcement?
Yeah, look, I can, and I'll keep it short. But I suppose I had the great privilege of marrying a wonderful man who died, and and how we all handle that is challenging. But I gave that everything. And I gave Steve everything I could. And it was a wonderful marriage, and I was happy for the time we spent together. That was important. But then the challenge is, what do you do next? And I was very conscious all the way through that, if you give it everything and you care for a person in that way, what does happen next? And you've got to make a decision. And I'm hopefully always a person that makes a good decision. Do you live? Do you die? What do you do? And so part of it is finding a way to move forward with integrity. And that's why with Jamie we were very conscious that it went very, very quietly and delicately and decently. And that was very important to me and very important to Jamie. but also it was very, very important for me to see what I could do, and in a way that was honest and robust and having integrity for Jamie, because I had to see if there was enough of me left that was a person that was centred, that had energy, that had enough life left to see if I could not only go again, but go for the first time, because I gave Steve everything, and I really didn't, to make sure he could go as he wanted to go, and that was important. Then the issue is, what do you do as a human being then? And I had to be sure in myself that there was enough. And it was a person that I respected and liked, and this was myself. There was a person that was respected and liked and cared for, that I could care again, and care completely again. So this was never meant to be and could never be sort of like, oh, well, let's just try another relationship. This had to be giving everything again. So everything that I am now, and I'm a different person, everything that I am now, can I give that completely to another person without limitations, without questions, without hesitations? And that's why we were careful and private, and I wanted to see if I could, and I have. Is that helping a little bit?
Yeah. That was wonderful. I just wanted to say that I have the deepest respect for Steve Redhead.
Yeah.
His legacy still lives on, right? So all of his values, I never got to meet Steve. You know, I've certainly seen a lot of Steve through watching vlogs and videos and things, but what a remarkable man, right? And his legacy is important. It's important to Tara, so it's important to me, and it will live on. It'll live on in our combined work, it'll live on in Tara's future work, it'll live on in all of the people that Steve has mentored and Steve has worked with.
Yeah.
And I know that everyone watching can only feel so much joy and gratitude that you've come into Tara's life.
None more than me.
No, I'm sure that's true. No more than you. But to see you've offered us something so extraordinary. In particular, Tara, letting us follow you over the last 3 years and speaking with such candor about your life, and to share so openly about this next stage is so inspiring to us.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to you for two people of such incredible intelligence and success and determination and drive to also let us into this part of your life is just extraordinary.
And it is important for women and men out there to see this. In some ways, that's sort of why we're trying to do this properly for you. That, you know, when the worst thing happens, open your eyes, keep breathing, keep walking, and life will happen. So you need to do the self-care so there's enough of you to offer yourself with integrity and completeness to the next person.
And I have to say, Tara has made me feel safe and secure, so I don't feel insecure. I know that she loves Steve. I'm not upset, I'm not disappointed. I expect her to miss him, I expect her to love him, I expect her to have all these things, right? And it's just a thing that we go through.
It's the most astonishing thing, isn't it? That love can just have more and more doors, that you can open another chamber.
And it is complex, and it is fascinating. Just, you know, as a scholar, it is interesting. I always try and talk about it as honestly as I can, because I know it does make a difference, because there's a lot of people in a bad space out there, and I get that. And, you know, I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you, I know that. And there is a way to open a door. So what I'd ask you to do is just self-manage yourself so you're ready to open that door when it appears. But what I'd also say, Tiff, is, you know, Jamie, this is the remarkable bit of the story. The idea that a man could persist and could have courage enough in his own masculinity, his own expertise, to understand this situation, to understand and respect Steve as a chapter that is now in the past but is an important chapter, and find a new strategy going forward. I think that's quite remarkable.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure there are many men in the world that could do this, and I just happen to have found one in Adelaide. who bloody knew? Yeah, I mean, I think Jamie's remarkable. I think that's remarkable.
We are so thrilled to meet you and to have you in this world now.
Yes.
This crazy online family that really it has become in many ways for us. And I know that, Tara, you've received, well, both of you, I'm assuming now, have received emails and responses from all around the world expressing how the happiness you two have found has had resonances for people who are looking and struggling and going through things as well.
That's right. And that's sort of why we thought, look, let's do this video, no matter how tough it is. Let's do it as a thank you to all the wonderful people that have supported us both, and also as an acknowledgement, life is dreadful a lot of the time, but every now and again a spark of, extraordinariness occurs, and I think when it happens to any of us, we should share it and allow it to grow, and that's sort of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, great.
So I'm so grateful, and it's so wonderful that a little bit of happiness that we found has been shared with others, and they found happiness out of it. I mean,
absolutely.
What more could you want?
It's a gift when your happiness can be shared with other people. And I guess that was my final question: is for you as a feminist.
Yes, let's do this.
Yeah, and as a Marxist, I guess. What is your take on marriage? Why marriage in 2019?
Yeah, and look, it's a big deal for me. It's a very important issue because when you are a heterosexual woman, you are sleeping with the enemy. So let's just start there. You are sleeping with the enemy, okay? So therefore the question is, as a heterosexual woman, what do you do with that information, right? And by the way, the first thing I said to Jamie is, I am the most frightening, scary feminist you'll ever meet in your entire life. So we'll just start there. But then the issue is this: what options are available for heterosexual women to rewrite notions of intimacy and the private and the public relationship? And I'm incredibly interested in that. So where I'm at is, I believe marriage is open and available for reconfiguration, revisioning and reimagining. And I think it's a very interesting space, particularly now that our gay and lesbian colleagues, I hope our transgender and intersex colleagues will be able to marry soon. So I'm much more comfortable with marriage now because it is more inclusive. It's about partnerships and relationships, and that's important to me. But what I'd say is, for heterosexual women, we need to reconfigure what marriage is, and part of it is, for me, that there is no engagement ring, darling. There's no engagement ring picture. I will never change my name. That's not what it's about, because a feminist rendering of marriage now is deeper, and it's more complex, and it's more honest, and it's robust. You do it because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. And that change alters everything, I think. And also, sort of as a scholar, and as, I suppose, an international scholar, what it allows us to do, I think, is to say, this is our relationship publicly. So this is a public relationship. This is the deal. This is the foundation from which we move. So it means all the other conversations about women and men, particularly women's sexuality, older women's sexuality, all that sort of stuff can be parked, because I am married to this astounding person, and that relationship is now a given. And coming from that, we can then do the more positive, powerful political work, taking that as a given. And I do think that there's a lot of political work we can do in the marriage space. And I suppose, noting my previous marriage, where it was very complicated with Steve early on. In fact, my wonderful students in the United Kingdom will remember the British government wrote me a letter deporting me, giving me 10 days notice because I was about to be deported, because they doubted the authenticity of the marriage. So if you are a woman, an intelligent woman, a woman in full-time work, a woman who can pay her own bills and has not changed her name, then it's very challenging, I think, and challenging in a great way, to confront people's expectations about what a woman is and what a feminist is. And I think all of this starts, Tiff, that late 60s, early 70s, second wave of feminism created a lot of bad spaces and bad arguments, I think, for us. Because the late 60s was about permissiveness, it's a radical act to have sex. it's a radical act to be permissive. I'm not sure of that, and I think that argument was problematic. And then the second wave came in and said, well, actually, marriage is a problem, relationships are a problem, and so it was still linked in with that permissiveness argument in the late 60s. Whereas what I'm interested in is, what's important in life. And marriage for me is a way to say this commitment is everything. It is personally stable. It is politically important, I think, for people to see two bright people who love each other very much, who are committed to work together for a cause in education, and this relationship is the default. So it can't be questioned, critiqued, undermined. It starts here and it finishes with other political conversations. Does that sort of make... I don't know, you and I have never had that conversation before.
We haven't. No, it's okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm perfectly fine with that. So I was expecting maybe Tiff might ask me if I'm a feminist, and I would consider myself to be a bit of a humanist as opposed to a feminist. But definitely, it's just, I believe that equality is everything. And so if that's one of the definitions of feminism, then I'm happy to call myself a feminist. But I don't think gender is of any consequence whatsoever. That's why I call myself a humanist.
In fact, we are so lucky, aren't we? I just think we're so lucky to be able to see these two people to theorize this union and theorize what that means to you and what that means to us as a wider...
But Tiff, do you find, because obviously you're wonderful, John, hi to John, do you find though that marriage gives you that, and it's not, safety's not the word I'm after, but probably stability is. Do you find, because obviously you've got a diversity of careers, does it give you a stability that you're respectful of and feel you can fly from?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and I have many close friends who have that same stability who haven't actually made that public declaration.
Yes.
But I think for us, the declaration was a public commitment, and a commitment that brought in our community as well, particularly because I've come from a family where there was divorce, and from a generation where divorce became almost the default.
Yes.
So for me, it was I guess it was a political choice in a way to go, this is what we want to do. We want all my very broken family, who all came together on a beach in Canada 2 days before September 11th, and we all fell apart again, globally. But it was an extraordinary moment where we all came together and went, we are committed to moving forward and bringing this family together in a new configuration.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point. It is about recognising the diversity, acknowledging the diversity, so people have diverse partnerships and relationships, and that's incredibly important. But I want people to pick the one that they are most satisfied with, that allows them to then transcend. Because I've never been a big believer in comfort, as you know, like I'm comfortable in a relationship. I think that's a very dangerous space to be in. But I think secure in a relationship then allows you to fly and do intellectually, politically, socially radical things.
I wholeheartedly agree. That is the perfect relationship. That is the point, isn't it?
That is the point. So there never has to be any questioning or critique. And again, as I said, the fascinating thing with my wonderful late husband was, even though that marriage was available and sort of seemingly a very successful one, it is amazing how many people were undermining and questioning it. And we'll never know why. We'll never know why. But what's also interesting is fewer people are remotely questioning us. So I don't know what that's about. But I think that's significant. But I certainly feel like we can together do some really important work from this point.
And I guess this is a throw. My very last question: does this mean that you're going to be in Adelaide for a little while longer? Do you think, or are we going to lose you?
It's a tough one. Look, and we haven't decided that. Obviously, I'm terribly happy at Flinders. We're actually recording this in a room of the Office of Graduate Research. I've never been so happy with a group of staff. They are a wonderful group of people. My boss, Robert Saint, is an absolute legend, and I adore working with him. And I feel really healed, to be honest with you. We used to call this our world tour of toxic universities, right? So I've worked I'll quote my great father, you know, and I apologise if people are offended by this, but he's 91, so he'd say bugger it. Hi, Big Kev. But, you know, I've worked in universities that are the equivalent of a pimple on the arse of the world. Okay? That's how bad some of these institutions have been. And I needed some time to actually heal and actually work out, like, what is university about? Because I've seen the worst of higher education, and through Flinders I've certainly seen the best and great students, and I've had a ball. I've loved this job. I've absolutely loved this job, but it's always an issue, Tiff, and you know, we've talked about this in terms of your career as well. You know, you're probably, all of us now are one day away from needing another job, because one of your colleagues goes, your boss decides to go to another job, and then this wonderful experience does change. So as I train our PhD students, I want them always, you know, one day ready to get that next opportunity, to get that next job. And I think, you know, we've got to be the same. You've been at Flinders how long?
16.
16 years. I can't imagine what that would be like. But I mean, it's been a wonderful university for you. You've had an incredible career here. So, you know, for the first time I've married an Australian.
Wow.
So
G'day.
And we've been very happy here. But also what I'd say, Tiff, is you know, I think the old days about what a job would be like, and oh look, you're happy. I always believe happiness is transitory, and that there's got to be deeper things there beyond happiness. There's got to be satisfaction. There's got to be political change. The sensation that you've got integrity and you're doing good work.
Happiness is a consequence.
Yeah,
Happiness is a consequence.
So I think we're very, very happy here. But you know, I've got to get us ready as I get the students ready to move whenever.
Yeah. Well, we hope we keep you here for as long as possible, at least till June 15th, when all of you out there will get to see one of the most beautiful parts of Adelaide,
Nice.
Windy Point. So hopefully we will see you there in your fabulous outfits. We have a link. I'm hoping that we can get this link attached to today's video, but there will be a link. It's called thestreamingguys.com.au/Tara and Jamie got married, and you will be able to click on that link. Or we'll also be live streaming to Facebook pages, all of our Facebook pages.
Yes.
But I reckon the link is the way to go. That's the most robust way to stay with us through the whole adventure. And there will be places there for you to chat, to upload photos, for you to be really a part of this deterritorialized, that's the delocalized, extraordinary adventure in nuptials.
We have the technology.
We have the technology.
And Tiff, thank you so much for spending this time with us. You are very precious to us, and we couldn't imagine a better human to guide us through this. She really is guiding us through this, as you'll see next Saturday. So she is a great human being. Her family are just remarkable. Your mum is remarkable. Your husband and your wonderful children are remarkable. And look, it is a great family gig. I think about a quarter of our guests, a third of our guests are under 10. So this is going to be wild as.
Half of them mentally.
Half of them mentally. But look, I'm very happy. I hope Jamie is very, very happy.
Very happy.
And this is life-changing stuff. So we just want to make sure for all the people out there doing it tough, you know, this is good. This is good. Let's share this. Let's have a time. Let's have a time. And you can do it. You got this.
All right. You going to do it?
No, you do it. You're in
Are
charge.
you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure you're in charge.
We are all wishing you love, light and peace. T, and J out.
Bye-bye. Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. You precious woman.
Oh, no pressure.